Hello, and welcome to Hold the Pass, a podcast all about passing knowledge and information about the world of motorsports and sports in general among friends. My name is Misha.
And my name is Fatima. And Misha, I don't know about you, but I love a good side quest. I mean, technically, this pod of ours is a side quest, no?
I think so, definitely.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we both work full time and we also manage our individual motorsport accounts, which is a side quest from our daily jobs. And now we have Hold the Pass Pod, the ultimate side quest. So it should come as no surprise that we would do an episode on driver side quests. Let's be so for real, right?
It's so true. I think side quests make life all the more interesting. I think everyone needs a good side quest or two just to keep them on their toes. What do you think?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it's just something about a side quest. You know, it's just the term side quest in general that I like. It's just so mythical, so magical. And like, yeah, I agree. I think everyone needs to have a fun little side quest just on the side.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a nice little adventure. It's like you said, it's magical. It's in the name quest. Who doesn't want to have a little like side adventure thing going on? And Fatima, you and I both know that we aren't the only people that love a good side quest. As you said, this episode is all about driver side quests, and there are so many F1 drivers who have dipped their toes into either other racing series or something entirely unrelated to motorsports.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, we aren't the only fans of side quests, and you have the obvious drivers such as Lewis Hamilton with Almave, as well as being part of the ownership group of the Denver Broncos and Mission 44. And that's just a couple of things. We haven't even touched on his fashion stuff yet. And then there's his teammate Leclerc with his ice cream brand Lec, which, you know, I think it's safe to say that the Ferrari drivers are the ultimate side quest kings of Formula One. They're just everywhere, aren't they, Misha?
They absolutely are. I feel like if you were to like list out all of the drivers that have side quests, like, the Ferrari guys would, for some reason, they're doing everything all the time.
It's crazy. And then, of course, we can't forget the other obvious one, which is Lando Norris with Quadrant. And that's just some of the big name drivers on the current grid. There are so much drivers who have done things on the side. I mean, if we take it all the way back to Niki Lauda, he actually owned his own airline. So I think it's safe to say that having a side quest as a Formula One driver is most definitely not a new thing, and it almost feels like a requirement at this point. I'm not going to lie. So when I say side quest in the context of motorsport specifically, we know them as pilots first and foremost, and whatever they do after that or on the side of that is what I would consider their side quest. May they still be racing or be retired. So with that being said, the first side quest that I want to bring forward to you, Misha, is one that I love talking about. It's a series that I will always hype up any chance I get because I truly believe that it is underrated and I want everyone to watch it because I need more viewers. And that is Extreme H, formerly known as Extreme E. So for those of you who don't know, Extreme H is the world's first hydrogen-powered racing championship. It's also gender equal, with each team having one male and one female driver. And if that's not already exciting, it's also off-road racing, which I love. It has time trials, head-to-head races, and multi-car disciplines. And what really drove me to Extreme H was, barring the gender equal racing, was actually their sustainability efforts back when I first got into Extreme E specifically, which is a topic for another video, but I promise you guys you need to get into Extreme H. Now, for the context of driver side quests, we actually have to take it all the way back to 2021 with the first Extreme E championship. So, Misha, there are 3 former and current Formula One drivers and champions who have owned an Extreme E team specifically. You have Jenson Button, the 2009 Formula One world champion with JBXE. Then you have Nico Rosberg, the 2016 Formula One World Champion with Rosberg Times Racing, also known as RXR. And then there's 7-time Formula One World Champion Lewis Hamilton with X44 Beta Carbon Racing. And just for continuity, we also have Carlos Sainz Sr., 4-time Dakar Rally Champion, who also owns a team, Acciona Sainz. And I think it's really funny how there's 3 Formula One World Champions and 1 Dakar Rally Champion that all own a team in this racing series. I'm not going to lie. While Lewis Hamilton's team, X44 Beta Carbon Racing, is not racing in Extreme H, which, to be fair, Hamilton does have a lot going on, as we mentioned, and he's still a full-time driver, so, makes sense. He didn't make a transition over to Extreme H like the other teams did. But to make things more fun for our fellow Brosades fans, let me tell you guys a little bit something. So, the first championships of the Extreme E 2021 season was Rosberg Times Racing. And Misha, guess which team was the runner-up?
Well, you said this was for our fellow Brosades, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it was Lewis Hamilton's team.
Yeah, I probably should have made that question harder. Probably should have done that. But
No, it's right. Good foreshadowing. It's very good foreshadowing.
I'll take what I can get. But you're absolutely right. It was X44 Beta Carbon Racing. And to make things even funnier, guess who won the following season and which team came second in the championship?
Was it the other way around?
Yes, it was. So, the following season, X44 Beta Carbon Racing and RXR won the championship, and RXR came second in the standings. And I'm not gonna lie, it was honestly such a good championship battle. Genuinely, if you guys want to go back on YouTube and watch it, it's there. It is there, so you can watch it. I just genuinely think it's funny how Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg's rivalry transcends series. You would have thought it ended in 2016 once Rosberg retired. They said no, actually. Now we're going to have 4 separate drivers do our battle for us, actually. But back to the program for driver side quests. I do think it is awesome how some racing drivers really never get sick of motorsport. And for those 4 drivers that I mentioned specifically, they aren't the only ones to own their own teams at different series. And we also see drivers who own karting teams as well. But I really honestly just wanted to bring this one specifically because I wanted to shout out Extreme H because I think it's a lovely series all around that does deserve more attention, Misha.
Yeah, absolutely. I know way less about Extreme H than you do, and I'm super curious to learn more about it. I think that it's, like you said, it's so funny to see how a lot of the rivalries that we see in F1 extend beyond just Formula One into other sports, and it's so, funny how this particular instance mirrors itself, in F1 and Extreme H. I love that. So did Hamilton and Rosberg get into Extreme H around the same time?
Yeah, from my understanding, when the FIA dropped Extreme E specifically, that was electric racing, and now they're hydrogen racing, which is the H, which is why we got the switch. So, a lot of drivers and corporations were into that because it was off-road racing, as well as their sustainability efforts. It's honestly a really great concept of how they navigate that sport specifically. So the teams, the original lineup, they were of the original lineup with Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg and Jenson Button and Carlos Sainz Sr. And fun fact, since we're talking about side quests, there's also a DJ called Carl Cox who also has a team for Extreme E. Yeah, I know. There's just a lot. Yeah, and McLaren's also part of it now too. So yeah, I know it's insane.
That's super cool. I love that. And it's good to see that Formula E isn't the only sustainability driven series that exists. Okay, F1 is trying to be a bit more sustainable, but that's a topic for another episode. That's something that we can talk about in a future episode. But,
for sure, because I can definitely tell you a lot about the differences of not Formula E, actually Formula E and Extreme H's sustainability versus F1, because what they're doing is a whole different ballgame. But yeah, back to you, Misha.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of drivers who are in like Formula E as well. A lot of like former F1 drivers.
Yeah, actually, fun fact, there's obviously we know like of the Nick DeVries who went from Formula E to Formula One back to Formula E, and he's also a Formula E champion. And like you said, there's a lot of former Formula One drivers who raced or race currently in Formula E. And one previous Formula One driver who now races in Formula E and was a champ and is actually a Formula E world champion is Pascal Wehrlein. Isn't that super cool?
That is really cool. I actually didn't know that. That's incredible.
Yeah. He has a championship under his belt.
Heck yeah, good for him.
Good. Why we say Formula One is not the end all and be all of motorsport.
Exactly. And exactly. And you know what? I genuinely love seeing drivers side questing into other series because it's so good for the health of motorsports. F1 is a really, really good gateway into learning about racing, but I find that the more time you spend following F1 drivers, the more time you see them going into these side quests in other series, and then you end up as an audience member learning more and more about other types of racing, other types of cars, other series, what's available, which I think is honestly so great. So another good reason why side quests are important.
Absolutely.
But aside from just seeing drivers try out different racing series, what I love seeing is drivers who venture outside of the sport entirely. And I think one area which is still kind of tied to their lives as athletes, but also kind of separate, is food and drink. Like obviously as athletes, they need to like be mindful of their nutrition and whatnot. So I don't think it's surprising that a lot of people in sport in general, not just motorsports, have gone on to open restaurants or like launch food products and so on. You mentioned at the beginning of the episode Charles Leclerc's ice cream brand Lec, which I think is like a I don't want to call it like a diet ice cream, but it is a low calorie ice cream option. Because I think like he advertises it as like, I want to be able to eat a pint of ice cream guilt-free.
Okay, Charles.
Okay, sure thing. But aside from Charles Leclerc, there have been other F1 drivers who have ventured into food. And I'm going to bring up a name that you also mentioned, Jenson Button. So Jenson Button in 2011, did you know that he opened a restaurant?
I did not.
Yeah, in 2011, he opened a restaurant called Victus in Harrogate, Yorkshire, England. So he described it as like combining all of his favorite elements of dining out with friends, including tasty food, great atmosphere, and friendly staff. That's a very, I would say, standard description for a restaurant. And I tried to look into like what the menu was like to see what kind of food they serve, and it really is a mix of so many different things. The article that I was reading mentioned salmon with nori rice, grazing dishes including crayfish noodle salad, and a spicy pulled pork chili hot meal box, and a New York sandwich, among other things. So like it's a fusion. It's a fusion restaurant. And Jensen hoped that it would become a national or even an international chain, which clearly didn't happen. And I feel so bad for the guy because he was clearly so passionate about this project. But unfortunately, Victus had to close down in less than a year, partially due to the declining economy at the time, all over the world, not just in the UK. But yeah, that sucks for him. Poor Jensen.
Bring Victus back.
Justice for Victus.
Do it again, Jensen.
I know, right? I feel like he should try again.
He's not the only driver to have closed down a restaurant, so it's okay, Jensen.
Oh no, absolutely not. He's far from the
Yeah,
first. He's far from the last.
that part.
Um, but another driver who opened up a restaurant slightly more recently is Carlos Sainz. Did you know that he opened up a burger restaurant in Madrid called Boogie Burger?
I did not. That's a very interesting name.
It's a very interesting name, honestly.
And maybe we can. Do we know if boogie stands for something in Spanish before like we stop?
I don't
Not
think
nice.
I don't think boogie is a Spanish
Okay.
word for anything.
Continue, Misha.
So yeah, he opened a burger joint called Boogie Burger back in 2023, and at the time, like right now, today, it's closed. I don't know if it's temporarily or permanently. Like I've seen some websites say it's temporarily closed, some websites say it's permanently closed. Regardless, it is recent enough that it is like you can still find it on Google Maps. And it actually seemed to have been like it seems that it was doing pretty well. It had like over 400 reviews, an average rating of 4.6 stars. Like people seemed to genuinely like it, and the food was good and whatnot. And I was looking at the pictures inside of like what it looked like, what the menu was like, what the food was like, and honestly, it looks like such a vibe. There are all of these like old school posters of like old rock bands. There's this massive like cartoon painting of Elvis, and it has such like a vintage rock and roll like vibe, which honestly, so cool. Did not expect that from Carlos. Like
No.
he pulled one on me. Um, the funniest thing for me was I was looking at their Instagram and they have a link tree. And on their link tree, their slogan is rock and roll is not to blame for your cholesterol.
Okay, now, Carlos.
Like, okay.
Interesting.
Right? Very, very interesting. So, yeah, Carlos, this is explain. This is awesome, but I need you to explain.
Honestly, I'm upset that they're closed because now we can't try it out. That's also how I feel about Neat Burger by Lewis Hamilton. Ooh, it was on my list of things to try out, but obviously that's closed too. But before I get back to Carlos, he honestly kind of had an international chain, which is, what Jensen Button wanted.
Right. just pour some salt in that wound for Jensen.
He did, though. Honestly, I think it closed like maybe 2-3 years ago, which is a shame because I really did want to try Neat Burger. It was an all vegan joint, if I'm correct. And Carlos, if Boogie Burger's not closed, reopen it. Maybe you can change the name. Who knows? But
no, for real.
Marketing is a thing,
But honestly, like if you go on their Instagram, like they have a food truck that's like bright neon colors. Like their Instagram is like
they've
really
obviously
like
they've obviously put some thought into it. So hopefully it's not permanently closed, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hope not, because it seems to have been doing really well, and I would love to try it. So Carlos, if you hear this, hit us up. But yeah, I know other drivers have also wanted to are wanting to open restaurants. Like Yuki Tsunoda constantly talks about wanting to open a restaurant and his love for cooking and how he just like wants a place in Milan, which if it happens, I'm gonna be first in line.
We're going because I know Yuki would make some good food. I just know his restaurant would be great. Of all of them,
Exactly.
He's the one we've seen be the most passionate out loud about his love for food. So I would trust that it would be great.
Exactly. I 100% agree. But and I feel like restaurants are kind of like a fairly standard food related side quest. Like you see a lot of people like wanting to open a restaurant or like launch like a food line. But there are a couple of side quests that are still related to food that I want to mention before we move on. And one is Romain Grosjean and his cookbook. So Romain Grosjean and his wife Marion published a cookbook back in 2017 called Cuisine and Confidences. Originally published in French, there is also an English version. So this is a collection of recipes and anecdotes about his life as a driver, his daily life as a husband and a dad, and so on, with a lot of like input from his wife and a very kind of interesting way of telling his story. So from the little bit that I saw, every recipe is kind of tied to either a memory or a person in his life or something about his habits or something like that. And the one that stuck out to me is there's a carrot cake recipe from Ayao Komatsu's wife Sachie from when Ayao was still just like a chief engineer, the chief engineer at Haas. And I think that's so cool to like include stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. And if you saw my face go weird for a second when you were saying that, it's because remember when we were discussing this episode and I was saying how I tried to find an English version of Grosjean's book and I couldn't, and then you said there is an English version? I'm like, how did I miss this?
So I found it when I was doing research. I found he made a Twitter post with an Amazon link for it.
Okay.
So I can send you the Amazon link. I don't know
Please
if it's
do.
still available for
Please
Sans
do.
or not, but
I will take it. I mean, if you follow Grosjean on Instagram, like he still loves and has such a big passion for like making recipes and like showing that side of him on his story as well. And like the story of how him and his wife met is also so sweet. Like if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure she was a journalist, right? And I think they met on I want to say, did they meet on the paddock? They met somewhere racing related, and the rest is history. And I think that's so sweet.
That's incredible. Also, when I was reading about this, somebody mentioned that Roman and Marion, like their names, are anagrams of each other, which is so romantic.
I thought they were meant to be. Stop.
I know. What the heck?
What do you mean?
I love that for them.
Honestly,
for real. No, but you're so right, Roman. Like on his social media and like his YouTube channel and his Instagram, like you can really tell he loves food. Which honestly, like who doesn't? So another driver who I think you can really tell his passion for like food and stuff is Valtteri. I remember there's a part of Drive to Survive where you just like see Valtteri Bottas like going like at it with all of his espresso machines, making lattes and things like that. And I feel like a lot of people know that he's like really into gin. He's got his gin brand, Oath Gin, which he runs with his partner, Tiffany Cromwell. But he also owns a coffee roastery / coffee shop in Finland. Like, he truly is the king of side quests.
Yeah. That is really cool. He really is doing it all. He's also part Australian, and he's not even Australian, so...
There you go. King of side quests, honestly.
Really, truly.
But yeah, I love seeing athletes who are, like, massive coffee nerds as a massive coffee nerd. Like, obviously there's Valtteri Bottas, but also, like, Jimmy Butler has his own coffee brand called Big Face, and it is my dream to try all of, like, the athlete, like, coffees. I want to have like a nice little collection of athlete coffees on my shelf.
That's hilarious. I actually didn't know Jimmy Butler had a coffee line, but we will make this dream of yours come true, Misha. We will make sure you try them all one day. Don't you worry. Okay.
Wonderful.
And now for this one, I thought I would do something a little bit different. So instead of bringing up driver side quests, I thought it'd be pretty cool to take a look at the side quests of some entertainers who have ventured into the world of motorsport. So kind of on theme with our previous solo episode a little bit, where we talk about celebrities who are interested in Formula One. Now, we most definitely cannot get into this section of the episode without talking about Alpine and their horde of celebrity investors. I mean, it's crazy. They range from athletes to actors to so much more. And how this happened was in 2023, the Renault Group sold a 24% stake of Alpine Racing to a consortium of investors, which includes Otro Capital, if I'm saying that correctly, Redbird Capital Partners, and Maximum Effort Investments, which is fun, investments, finance, yada, yada, yada. Not my ministry. Although, maybe I have to take a look into it. I'm not going to lie. But what's really interesting about this is the key names that are partnered with Otro Capital. And the ones that have a minority investment into Alpine. And I'm going to give you the full list, Misha. So
Oh my
just
God.
brace yourself.
Oh
Okay?
my God. Okay.
So-
Okay. Here we go.
We have Oscar winner Michael B. Jordan. We
Ooh.
have Ryan Reynolds, Anthony Joshua, the Great, Rory McIlroy. We have Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Then there's Rob McElhenney, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Juan Mata, and Alexander Zverev. Now,
What?
yeah, it's a lot.
What a mix of people.
Yeah, if you go on their website, you'll see them all there as their investors. So I'm not just making this up. These guys are really minority investors in Alpine. Now,
That's wild.
I know. I'm sure if I did a deeper dive into this, I would be able to find out why all of these actors and athletes are investing in Alpine. And maybe that's a video for another day because I am curious.
No, for real.
Like, for real, what's going on?
Yeah.
But for now, one of the co-founders of Otro Capital said, "We are honored at Otro Capital to be joined by this particular group of investors into our Alpine F1 investment in partnership with Redbird Capital Partners and Maximum Effort Investments. These are the best in class investors, athletes, entertainers, and entrepreneurs, and they are all committed to elevating the Alpine F1 team." And sure, cool.
Okay.
And, we do know that Ryan Reynolds is not new to investing in an underdog team and turning them around. I mean, we saw what he did with Wrexham football team.
Yes.
Yes. So he's not new to this, Ryan Reynolds, I know he's not new to this, but I am curious to know what the thoughts of all of these entertainers are and how they think Alpine is doing under these new regs specifically. Because I remember last year, I was like, well, all these celebrities are invested in Alpine, but it's kind of rough. It's giving rough for them.
Yeah,
However,
real.
So far this season, Alpine's doing pretty well. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's true. Wasn't there a rumor going around that Toto Wolff was trying, like the part of Alpine that Toto Wolff is trying to buy is Ryan Reynolds' share?
Nah, that I did not know.
I think I read that it was a rumor, so like don't quote me on this.
Fact check.
Fact check, no, for real. But it's crazy how many celebrities are invested in them. But they really, really are doing well this year, especially given how other teams that have a Mercedes power unit are struggling, aside from Mercedes.
Of course.
But yeah, Pierre Gasly, like, points every race, am I right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I do think it's so interesting how it's Alpine specifically, but again, that's a topic for another day.
What do these celebrities know that we don't?
No, because seriously,
Like,
what do they know?
What do you
Tell
know?
me. Do I need to invest? Do I need to invest?
Apparently.
No, but what I really want to talk about is NASCAR, which I don't think we really talked too much about NASCAR on this pod yet.
No,
so
man.
let's just go right for it, Misha.
Let's go.
I really want to talk about Michael Jordan's NASCAR team because when it comes to basketball, I genuinely have to say Michael Jordan might just be the king of side quests in general, like for athletes, like genuinely. Yeah. I don't think anyone's taking that from him. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Because he also owns a NASCAR team. Cool.
I did not know that. I genuinely did not know that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, let me tell you something, Misha. So, with Michael Jordan's most obvious side quest being the Air Jordan partnership with Nike, he's also played in minor league baseball at one point in his career. He's like, I retired from basketball. He goes to play baseball and comes back to basketball.
Yeah. Does Space Jam in between.
He is also part owner of the Miami Marlins, which is a baseball team, if I'm correct. To be honest, Misha, we could do a whole episode of Michael Jordan's side quest, and I actually think we should.
I'm down.
I think we should. Down. But if we go back to NASCAR, he is co-owner of 23XI, which is a racing team that competes in the NASCAR Cup Series. And of course, 23 is his number, and then 11 is his co-owner, whose name I cannot remember. I'm so sorry, but it is his co-owner's number as well. So one of the drivers for 2311 is actually Bubba Wallace, who is a driver that I would love to have on this pod one day. He drives the number 23 Camry XSE for 2311 Racing. And this year specifically, because the team, I'm pretty sure they first joined NASCAR, I want to say either 2020 or 2021. So fairly recent, if we're going to be honest. But they've had some great success this season, Misha. Their driver, Tyler Reddick, is currently leading the NASCAR Cup Series standings. They had a historic win at the Daytona 500 this year with Tyler Reddick. So I think it's safe that, they didn't come to play this season.
Yeah, let's go.
I know, right? And what I love about Michael Jordan co-owning this team is that his flair is also attached to it. So, for instance, at the Daytona 500 this year, the 2311 pit crew, they debuted their new fireproof shoes, which is the triple black Jordan 9s, which were designed specifically for this team. And if you know anything about the Jordan 9s, you know that they are legendary and they are historic when it comes to Jordans in general. So the fact that the special fireproof edition was made for his pit crew and they debuted at the Daytona 500 where his driver won, honestly, just legendary.
That is such a good weekend for that team.
Right?
Those shoes are lucky. Like those shoes are lucky.
Right? Isn't that crazy? And finally, I want to do some shout outs to other entertainers who are into motorsport. So we have Idris Elba, who is the co-owner and investor of Cupra Kiro Formula E team, which is a team that's, they've had a rough go over the past few years in Formula E. I'm not going to lie. Their previous season, they actually came in pretty hot at the start of that season, which surprised everyone. Everyone was like, whoa, because Dan took I'm pretty sure he was on a podium at some point. And we were like, where did this come from? And just another side quest of a side quest of a side quest. Idris Elba also owns a pub in London called Porte Noir King's Cross. So he's just...
add it to the food side quests.
Truly, add it to the food side quests. And of course, I cannot talk about entertainers in motorsport without bringing up Frankie Muniz, actor turned NASCAR driver, and of course, McDreamy himself, Patrick Dempsey, who has competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the American Le Mans series, just to name a few. He also used to co-own an IndyCar team called Vision Racing, and he is the current owner of Dempsey Racing. So,
wow.
I know. And side note, he should have been the lead in the F1 movie. That's all I'm going to say.
Ooh, wait. I would be on board with that.
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
Don't cancel us, Brad Pitt.
Should have been Patrick Dempsey, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. And, wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
I see your Patrick Dempsey and I raise you Idris Elba.
You see, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. So we're pitching Idris Elba and Patrick Dempsey for the next movie.
Yes.
F2.
Not the downgrade. I've won the movie F2.
We could be great casting directors. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the program. So there you have it, Misha. Motorsport has a wide array of entertainers that are involved in it, from the back end to the start of the grid, and it does seem to be that side quests are just part of the motorsport way, no matter if you're involved in it through actually being a racing driver or being an entertainer who found their way into motorsport. It's just part of the motorsport way.
No, it truly is, and I think it does go kind of both ways. Just to end things off for this episode, I kind of want to talk a bit about the flip side of what you just spoke about with entertainers going into racing. I want to talk a bit about F1 drivers that have made their way into entertainment-y side quests. Now, we know plenty of drivers have had appearances on the big screen. I mean, most of the current grid was in the F1 movie, which, side note, produced by Lewis Hamilton, so add that to his list of side quests.
Oscar winner.
Oscar winner Lewis Hamilton, thank you very much. Love that for him. Honestly, like, what... Again, the Ferrari boys and their side quests. Truly. But most recently, I think, aside from the F1 movie and, like, other racing movies, like, again, Lewis Hamilton making an appearance in Cars 2, which we've talked about in a previous episode. Esteban Ocon most recently had a cameo in a French Netflix original film called Honeymoon Crashers. And the movie is about this guy named Lucas whose fiance leaves him at the altar for another dude named Damien, who is played by Esteban Ocon. She just, like, ditches him for Esty Bestie, which, I mean, I don't know what the guy playing Lucas looks like, but, you know. So interestingly, in that movie, Damien, the guy that Esteban Ocon plays, is an F1 driver, and do you want to guess what team he drives for?
Alpine.
Correct.
Oh, yay!
Actually, yeah, he's an Alpine driver.
I was like, that's too on the nose.
Yeah! Look at us go.
But if it is a French movie, that tracks.
Yes, honestly. Yeah. I imagine, like, the French made a movie and it's, like, about an F1 team that isn't Alpine.
They're like,
considering it's, like, a national project. Literally. So he's like, Esteban is only in the movie for like 2 or 3 minutes, max, but I do appreciate that it is quote unquote an actual role, and it's not just like him appearing as himself. So I would say movie cameos are a fairly common, or like at least not unheard of, occurrence among like athletes. But what I really want to talk about is music side quests, because we all love music. And obviously, when you say music and you think about F1 drivers, one name comes to mind, Charles Leclerc, who has released several albums on Spotify. I think it's one of his most well-known side quests, apart from his ice cream company, because he talks about that quite a bit. But, so, have you listened to any of his music?
You know, I haven't. I was laughing because you're like, obviously, you think of F1 drivers and music. You're like Charles Leclerc, and I was like, Lewis Hamilton.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, obviously Lewis.
I was like, oh my god, my fangirl is showing.
Well, no, it's true. Again, like,
Ferrari again, strikes
again. I think we've mentioned Lewis in like every single segment.
I know, it's actually a problem. We need to stop.
No, we don't. He needs to keep going.
I haven't listened to Charles' music, but I have like kept up with like what he does.
Okay. So I know for me personally, like, what I think surprises a lot of people with Charles and his music is like, when I think of athletes like that have done music, I think of like Damian Lillard, who has released like rap under his name Dame Dollar. I think Kobe Bryant also had an attempt at rap. Rest in peace to him. Shaquille O'Neal also relatively successful run as a rapper. There's a tennis player, Caroline Wozniacki, who had an EDM song. In F1 specifically, like a lot of the songs that are associated with drivers, like the do Max Verstappen, like that's all in EDM. Lando Norris, another side quest of his, he's dabbling in DJing now, which is, I'm so curious to hear that.
Honestly, that kind of tracks.
It so does. It so tracks. All of this to say, when I found out that an F1 driver was releasing like music albums, I was not expecting them to be classical piano music, which took
very
me
Monaco of him
out. I know. But I really do enjoy his music. I think he's a talented pianist and a composer. And his most recent album, which I think came out like last year, is a collaboration with the French composer Sofiane Pamart.
Okay.
Which is so great. And a lot of his music, unsurprisingly, is inspired by his own experiences as a driver, as evidenced by the titles of a lot of his songs, or pieces, I should say. Including like references to Miami and Australia 2023, his win in Monaco in 2024, and so on. But yeah, honestly, like, love that for him. Love that he's like living his best like Monegasque pianist life.
I love that. And I just have to say two things before you move on to your next person. One, I take it back. Michael Jordan is not the most side quest basketball player. It's Shaq.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Shaq.
It's 100% Shaq. And
I love him so much.
like, and also, we can't talk about athletes in music and not mention John Cena.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
You are so right.
Don't copyright us.
No, please don't cancel us. John Cena, we love you. Undertaker.
Not Undertaker. What?
Or no, not Undertaker. What's it? You can't see me.
On to the next.
Anyway, the second driver I want to talk about is Damon Hill, who is massively into punk music, which is right up my alley. So I don't like. Have you heard of his like involvement in music at all? Because I just found this out.
I didn't, but I knew about Eddie Jordan, if I'm correct.
Yes.
I know about, but I didn't know about Damon Hill, actually.
Yeah, so interesting that you bring up Eddie Jordan. One of the things that I wanted to mention about Damon Hill is back in, I think it was 1994, the article that I was reading said, it was after the British Grand Prix, Eddie Jordan basically got a bunch of F1 drivers together for like a jam session, and it included Eddie on drums, Jordan on drums, Hill was on guitar, Johnny Herbert and Perry McCarthy were on vocals, and according to Damon Hill, David Coulthard was on the triangle. Which,
you know, how old is David Coulthard?
It was 1994. It wasn't that long ago.
No, because when I think of David Coulthard, I don't mix him with the generation of like Damon Hill and thing, right? Of drivers. I see him with like the generation of Schumacher, which
Valid, yeah.
Actually that's a lie. They're all intertwined. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think because DC retired like in the early 2000s, I'm like confusing my timelines.
It's okay.
Because I'm always like, how old is that man?
Old enough to have jammed with Eddie Jordan and Damon Hill, apparently.
Clearly.
So apparently, like, this became kind of a tradition for them. And, like, they did it, like, a few times. Which is, yeah, right? Like, I'm just imagining him, like David Coulthard, like, standing proudly in the back swing. Ding! But yeah, just to go back to Damon Hill, apparently, as a teenager, he was in a punk band called what was it called? Oh yeah, Sex, Hitler, and Hormones.
Okay.
Interesting title, interesting band name, but yeah. So
classic Nepo kid.
Classic Nepo kid, right? Right? Like, I mean, okay, I get it. Like, punk, do I get it? I don't know. Anyway, so his...
Sorry, keep going.
It's fine. So his music career, and his F1 career, like, his passion for music and his F1 career, I should say, are actually, like, way more intertwined than I thought they were. And it all starts with George Harrison of the Beatles. So another thing I did not know, George Harrison, huge fan of Formula One. And this again goes back to our previous episode about F1 fans being from all walks of life. So Harrison, huge fan of F1. He would regularly go to like races and hang out with drivers, including Graham Hill, Damon Hill's dad. And so Harrison and Hill Sr. became quite close, and over time, Harrison got to know Damon Hill as like a kid growing up around the track. And as Damon developed an interest in and like showed aptitude for racing, George Harrison wanted to support him. So Damon Hill's like early racing career leading up to F1 was partially funded by George Harrison of the Beatles, which is crazy.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. But another thing that also took me out is so I want to talk about this little album called Euphoria by a small little band from way back when that probably no one has ever heard of called Def Leppard. Def Leppard is one of the most influential rock bands ever, I would say. They were one of the defining musical artists of the new wave of British heavy metal in the 80s and in the 70s and the 80s. And in 1999, they released an album called Euphoria, which was pretty successful. It went gold in Canada, the US, and Japan. So it sold quite a bit. It sold quite well. And the first song on that album is called Demolition Man, and it features a guitar solo by none other than Damon Hill himself.
Okay, Damon.
Heck yeah, good for him. The part that I enjoyed the most about all of this is that he is credited as Damon Demon Hill. Which, okay, rock and roll.
He said, I'm a rock star.
He said, I'm a rock star. He said, I am the demon.
Golly.
Right? So a lot of people don't know about this crossover.
No.
Like a lot of punk fans and a lot of F1 fans just like don't know that this is a thing, but it is, and it's pretty cool.
I just found out today, right now, this very moment. So that's really cool.
There you go. But yeah, I think it's really cool to see how F1 drivers and people who like racing in general have kind of either side quested into other things or side quested into motorsports. And I'm really like this episode. I learned so much doing research for this episode.
Same. And it's so like music, honestly, of all the things we talked about, generally music is just like life. It's what gets us all through things. People who enjoy music. There's an odd group of people who don't enjoy music, which is fine. That's their own right. But I do have to say music really is. It's just amazing. And I can't believe, I did not know that about Damon Hill. I know I called him a Nepo baby because he is, rightfully so, but I am a huge fan of his. I actually really, really am. I enjoy his takes as well. Whenever we're watching this season. And that's so cool that he is such a punk rocker. And I love the fact that like he did all that.
Yeah.
I was gonna compare him to Trudeau because I was like, like, listen, let me land.
Okay.
In the sense that like he was a wily kid back in the day, and then he followed in his father's footsteps, became prime minister. As with Damon Hill, wily kid, and then followed in his father's footsteps and became a Formula One champion. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I think it's a
there's a parallel in there.
It's a very thin one, but it's there. But exists. I also want to say, like, to wrap this up, if we're going to talk about music in Formula One, we cannot not talk about Fleetwood Mac. And
wait, what?
My favorite song of theirs, The Chain.
Okay.
I love that song, The Chain. And obviously it was the Formula One theme song for how many years? I can't even. Was it the 80s? It was the 80s, if I'm correct. And anytime I hear the engines revving and like the song starting, ooh, I get goosebumps.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I cannot. Yes. You can't. Oh, and also, should I bring this up if I don't know the exact dates? There was a Grand Prix many moons ago, before I even got into Formula One, but the video's still out there somewhere, where I think it was just a downpour, and to bide by time, they had like someone recording like all the pit crew and the drivers singing, is it All American Rejects? No?
I think it's I'm Not Okay by My Chemical Romance.
Maybe it is.
I think it is because I distinctly remember Sebastian Vettel being like super happy to sing I'm Not Okay.
You're right. You're so absolutely right. But yeah, that's just the fun stuff. I actually really enjoy whenever, I mean, I don't enjoy it because it's like a waste of my time, but I also really enjoy when there's like a downpour and then you're just like seeing what all the drivers are doing. They're like napping. Oh, yeah. They're like sitting, they're just like, I remember the last time we had a downpour, sorry, yap session, but you remember the last time, was it 2020, I think it was the 24 or 23 season, could not tell you the race it was. I just remember there was a downpour and was it the Red Bull team and the Visa Cash App team, or was it McLaren? And they had on Twitter, their social media teams had like a tic-tac-toe contest or whatever. That was so funny. I was keeping up with that live.
That's incredible. That is so good.
And when the race came back, they're like, okay, we have to take a pause. And then after it ended, they
kept going.
Yeah.
I mean, we might get some of that this upcoming weekend in Miami, because a heavy rainpour is predicted for Sunday.
Okay, I heard that. I didn't fully look into it, but I did hear. So by the time you guys watch this episode, the Miami Grand Prix would have already maybe happened.
Yeah.
For us. We shall see. But that should be really interesting.
Maybe we find out some new driver side quests. Maybe somebody is secretly into crocheting.
Hey, I'm sure there's someone.
I'm sure there's someone on that grid that loves to crochet.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's all I have for you today, Misha. Do you have anything else for me?
That's all I have. I think we have covered a wide array of driver side quests and random anecdotes, and it has been absolutely wonderful.
It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today, and for anyone who has taken the time to sit here and watch this long episode, thank you for sitting here and watching it. And if you're listening, thank you so much for listening. My name is Fashi.
And keep that in.
End it. We're done. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out. I quit.
It's okay.
Thank you all so much for sitting here and watching this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on audio, thank you so much for listening to us today. We've had such a wonderful time speaking about all the different side quests that are out there, as well as our own. If you would like to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at holdthepasspodcast@gmail.com. And you can keep up with us on Instagram at holdthepasspod and TikTok at holdthepasspodcast, and anywhere you listen to your podcast from. My name is Fatima, and I've been your co-host today, along with my co-host,
Misha.
Thank you all so much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.